Natalie, again, thank you very much for coming in. I think I would guess everyone's read your resume, but I know that it speaks for itself. We're very excited to have her part of T3 family and part of us today. So please take it away without any further rambling from me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm gonna pretty much roll right into this and do my intro once I get the slides up. I am gonna ask that you guys participate a little bit in the chat function today. So I'm hoping everyone can see it on the right side. If not, I'm gonna send right now just a little test message down at the bottom of your screen. Something might pop up. I want you to click on it and hopefully it'll work the same way it did for me, where it kind of gave me this screen. So if it's not open, click on that little test message bottom screen and hopefully it'll pop up. We're gonna use a little bit, just make sure you guys aren't falling asleep. Also, this is recorded if you haven't heard that yet, and it's gonna be sent out to everyone. There was 55 signups, so there's a lot of people that'll still be watching this. I'm really excited about that. So make sure you're on mute if you don't wanna be on the recording. So I am going to turn my camera off and try to share my screen. Everybody say a little prayer, and I'll be right back. All right, hold on one second. Let's see if we can slide this over to my other screen. I have two monitors and now it's deciding which one it wants me to pick up. Here we go. Let's try that one. That's not the right one, so let's bring that back. It's fine. I work in an online space where I know how to do all this stuff. Here we go. This is looking more like it. Yeah.
Yes.
I just got to get my presenter button. Okay. Here we go. See, I figured it out. All right. So here we are, sunny days, steady goals, mastering summertime nutrition. As Eric said, I'm your host today, Natalie Sabin, and I am going to be covering strategies to overcome the obstacles that many people face during this time of the year. And the problem is staying on track with good eating habits during the summer. The solution, well, that's what we're going to talk about today. And you are going to have a clear goal, a personalized goal, and strategies for success by the time you leave here. All right, so I am familiar with some names here. Some I'm not, and some people may know me and others may not. But a little bit about me. Just Eric, can you see the whole screen, or is it getting cut off with the?
No, you can see the whole screen.
Okay, good, because it's a
Good.
little cut off with like faces and names over there. So I just want to make sure. Okay. So I am Natalie, and I've been in the health industry for about 20 years, and I've been coaching clients on their nutrition for 7 years and counting. My experience ranges from behavior goals in weight loss, muscle building. I do body recomposition, athletic performance, and also just general good eating habits for overall wellness. And people just want to work on the habits of, good eating for life. My general philosophy when it comes to nutrition is that there is more than one way to achieve a goal. I am not particularly dogmatic about any one way. However, I do believe that the key for success is to keep things so simple that you can't fail. And nutrition should not be this mindset of no pain, no gain. Being difficult does not equate to being effective. In fact, it has the opposite effect. If your nutrition plan feels too hard or too restrictive, like you are giving everything up that you love, then you're not going to be able to stick with it long enough to make it work. My coaching style is evidence-based, which means I follow the best available science research. However, I also respect that individuals have a choice based on their personal preferences, and that's okay as long as it's safe. So what in the heck does that mean? It means I follow science, but I respect someone's personal choice if it makes them feel their best, because, being happy and is a huge part of this too when it comes to your nutrition. So quick example of this would be like apple cider vinegar, right? It's had its moment not too long ago, but when you look at the research, there's nothing there that's supporting it to be a superior for weight loss. But if a person has it in their morning routine and it makes them feel good, then go ahead. Who am I to stop them? So that's kind of my style and my approach to coaching, in case you're curious. There are a few ways to connect with me if you want to get to know me a little bit more. You can follow me on Instagram, Natalie_Sabin. This is going to be kind of a montage of nutrition facts, foods, random thoughts, my own fitness journey, and I pepper that in there sometimes with humor about parenting and life. I have a podcast if you'd like to check out. These are 5-minute episodes where I answer common questions about nutrition. And these are questions that come from my clients because often if they're asking them, a lot of people are asking them. So some examples there would be, how do I pick a quality protein? Should I wear a glucose monitor? Will intermittent fasting work for me? Why do I lose motivation? Things like that. And then lastly, you can also work with me now at T3, where we are offering adult nutrition coaching with yours truly. If you are interested, you can fill out an application. You can hold up your phone right now in the picture mode and scan the QR code. It'll take you right to the website, or check out the website later under the nutrition tab. Space is limited, so fill out that application. Like I said, 55 people signed up for this. I'm hoping that, of course, there will be some interest. But if you're looking to join in July when we open doors again, you're going to want to get your application in. But don't worry, I'll put that QR code up again at the end. All right, so today you are going to be getting the blueprint for establishing your rock solid goal. By the time you leave here, you are going to walk away with your own custom goal to focus on this summer. You are also going to get 5 detailed nutrition strategies, why you might want to focus them, and exactly how to implement them. You're going to get a list with many more, but the 5 I picked are my top 5 for summer. And then lastly, the objective is to move on beyond this webinar and practice your skills outside of this. So it doesn't just stop here. The idea is that you feel confident to apply this anytime you need it in the next few weeks or anytime this year, quite frankly. So why is summer nutrition important? Why does it matter? I imagine that you signed up for a reason. Perhaps you're curious about what I could possibly say about summertime nutrition, or maybe you're here to show some support for T3's new services, and thank you if you're here for that. But no matter what brought you here initially, summer nutrition habits are important because we are often put in situations where we're filled with more parties, more travel, more alcohol, and at times we're more physically active in these higher temperatures, but other times we might not be moving as much. Like I think about being on the lake and the boating life. You're out there for hours, not really moving very far. So it's the lazy days of summer. So we have kind of two levels of activity going on as well. Ultimately, some aspect of your health is a priority to you. And you know that staying consistent with your nutrition habits is one piece of the puzzle to keeping your health as that priority. So I want to try that chat function. If it doesn't work, that's okay, but let's just see what happens. I want you to think of a time when you had a goal, preferably with nutrition, but really any goal is fine, any fitness goal. And you're like, I'm going to do it. This is the year. This is the time. I'm focused. It's Monday. We're doing it. And then a few days go by and you're like, I know what I should do, but I just don't do it. And if that's you, you can, ping in that chat function and say, yes, me, that sounds familiar, anything like that. So, and if it's not, if you don't want to put in the chat, that's fine. But think of a time where maybe you've said that, or you're like, yeah, I know what I should be doing and I'm just not doing it. Right. I am afraid to click on anything that I'm going to lose my screen, but I see some chat people coming up in the chat. So, something like that would be, I know I'm supposed to eat vegetables. I should do it, but I'm not really consistent with it. Or I know I should move my body, but I'm not really doing it. I know that the cocktail with the umbrella, the color blue, is probably really calorie dense and I should limit them, but I'm having too much fun. It's kind of down that path, right? So there's a reason that this happens. And if you're feeling like you've ever said that, or you've said it multiple times, I really want you to lean in to what we're discussing today, because I'm going to explain why this happens and how to take action on the things that you want to do. So a question for you: why do most nutrition goals fail? And Eric, I don't know if you can see the chat function, but I'd like some people to put in reasons why they think nutrition goals fail, or if they're not sure, maybe why a goal failed for you specifically, and see if we can get any chatter going. And the reason that I have the chat function going is not just to make sure you're awake, but honestly, A lot of times there's such common obstacles and problems that people have. It's good to know that you're not alone, and that you're human, and sometimes these things happen. So I don't know if anything's come through, but Erica, if you can see them, if you can read them out. And if not, maybe Eric, you have a suggestion. I'm going to put you on the spot. Why do you think most nutrition goals fail?
We had a couple, yeah. So busy schedules was the big one.
Mhm.
It's hard to be confident in the plan you set when it takes a long time to see the results.
Okay.
It's hard to see that
Yeah.
far down the road.
That's awesome. And those are all super valid. And we're actually going to cover a few of those in our strategies today. So that's good. But I will tell you the reason most goals fail is because it's not the right goal from the beginning. So if the goal is not right from the beginning, you're set up for failure before you even start. And the thing that makes this hard is that most people don't even usually have an idea that the goal is not the right goal before they start. All they see is a part that doesn't work out, and they don't really know why, and they get frustrated and they think they're stuck like this forever. So I want you to either get a piece of paper, you can share in the chat again if you want to. This might be a little bit more personal, so you don't have to. But I want you to write down what your fitness goal is for this summer or for this year. It doesn't have to be exclusive to summer, but we are talking summer. So what is your health and fitness goal for this year? And I'll just give you a moment to think about it. If you want to share, that's great. Eric, you can let me know if anything comes through. If not, that's totally fine too. So working with clients, the top 5 common goals that I get are: I want to lose weight or body fat. I want to build muscle. I want to improve energy. I want to improve longevity or better eating habits, right? These are usually the most common. So what you want to do now is examine your goal, whatever your goal is. And there are 2 types of main goals. One is an outcome goal and one is a behavior goal. Outcome goals are the desired end result, everything we just mentioned in those top 5. For example, if someone wants to lose 10 pounds or if someone wants to do an unassisted pull-up, that's the outcome. Behavior goals are the actions or the steps needed to reach the outcome goal. Having an outcome goal is where most people focus all of their attention, and then they miss those imperative parts of establishing the behavior goals. So this is the first place where we can identify that it's not the right goal. So if all the focus is on the outcome goal, we're already setting ourselves up for the wrong goal because we want to be looking at the behavior goals. So I even have here a New York Times bestselling author, right? You don't just become one. You have to do things like write daily, get a publisher, have a marketing plan. I don't know if you're aware of this, but you don't even have to write a good book to be a best-selling author. You have to just sell a lot of books in a certain amount of time. So you better have a really good plan for that. Same thing with saving money. Create a budget. These are the behaviors, right? Add to your savings plan, maybe get a second income. Losing weight, you're looking at portions, protein, fiber, and within all of these behavior goals are other behavior goals that you can break down. So that's where we want to focus our attention. And the reason for that is because we do not have direct control over the outcome. I'll say that again. We do not have direct control over the outcome. I can't stand in my bathroom tomorrow morning and say, Natalie, be 1 pound less. I can't control that. But what I can control is the steps to get to that outcome. So we want to be focusing on those types of things. All right. So this is what we're going to do now. I have a picture here of this mountain. It's the best one that I could find out of stock photos, but it's pretty nice. And what it is this represents trying to achieve a major goal, specifically that outcome goal, whatever it is. And it often feels really massive. I think someone was mentioning that it feels like it takes a long time to get there and the confidence that to keep going, right? It really feels like we're standing at the bottom, looking at that summit like, oh my God, this is never going to happen. And this is when we sometimes have self-doubt. We might say, forget it, it's not going to happen. Why bother? The self-sabotage talk happens. I'm not capable. This is how I'm always going to be. Nothing will ever change. And a common one is, I've tried everything. This is going to be the same as before. Sometimes I hear people say that it's too late in life for me to do this. So we're going to take this concept of focusing on the things that are in our direct control. And instead of looking way at the top of the mountain, we're going to turn our focus to the step that we're currently on. We start in whatever state we are, in whatever condition we are, and focus only on the single step right in front of us, not the top of the mountain anymore, not even the few steps in front of us, just the one that we're about to take. These are the behavior goals. When we master one, we focus on where we're standing again on that new step in whatever condition we are in at that time and begin to work on that next step. And then we go step after step and they add up. Eventually we're at the top of the mountain. It doesn't feel so difficult anymore. And we're seeing small wins along the way. So we feel successful. So we don't feel defeated, like this is never going to happen, or we don't have trust in the process anymore, because now we can, if we look at our steps right in front of us, we can trust that we're going to make it to that single next step. All right. So why do goals, oh, hold on, I got too far ahead here. So what we're going to look at are some behavior goals that I've jotted down on this list. This is not an exhaustive list. It's things that you might want to consider as you're moving through the summer and through the rest of the year. The ones in green are the 5 nutrition habits or strategies that we're going to talk about today in more detail. But I'm going to shut my mouth just for a couple of seconds so you can scan the list and read over a couple, maybe write them down and see if anything resonates with you, but I'll give you a few minutes just to scan. All right, so now that we have that, my second question, I got a little bit ahead of myself. What is the second reason goals fail? And you may have not even thought of this. You didn't even know that like a goal can fail from not being the right goal in the first place. So there's another reason that goals can fail. Yes, lots of reasons, but this one here is specific to the behavior goal. So we now know that we want to focus on the behavior. Now we have to make sure it's the right behavior. The second reason is because the person is not ready, willing, and or able. You need all 3 to move into action. Otherwise, you'll find yourself saying that line that we said before, I know what I should do, but I just don't do it. There's a reason for that. One of these 3 elements is missing. And it doesn't matter what order, they all have to exist. And readiness is about your mental and emotional preparedness to make the change. This is about your mindset, whether you truly want to pursue the goal or the behavior change right now. The willingness is, will you be comfortable with the trade-offs that may come with this thing that you're about to change? And will you be able to stay there and follow through, even if it's a little uncomfortable at times? Willingness is about your commitment to the goal. Being able, this is about the resources, the time, your physical health, access to the necessary tools and support. But if any one of these are missing, you're going to find that that behavior goal is hard to take action on. So an example of readiness would be if you're ready to drink less alcohol at summer parties, you're going to want to ask yourself, am I really ready to make this shift? Am I prepared to navigate social situations without relying on alcohol? Willingness is that you might be ready and able, but let's say with the alcohol, that are you willing to find non-alcoholic alternatives? Or are you going to be reluctant to give up some of the social aspects that come along with drinking? The ability is, let's use preparing summer meals, right? For cookouts. Do you have the time? Did you plan? Do you know how to plan? Do you have access to fresh ingredients? This is more of like, are you able to take action on them as well? So you always want to test it, okay? So once you have your behavior goal, the next thing to do is test the strength of your goal. So we're going to use a scale for that, ready, willing, and able. You basically just go right down the list with each one and say, how ready am I? And you give yourself a number. How able am I? How willing am I? If you are an 8 or higher, you're great. You're ready to go, a strong behavior to focus on. If you are a 7 or lower in any 3 of these, you need to revise the goal. It can be the same goal, but you just want to adjust it a little bit so you are more ready or more willing or more able, whichever one you need to work on. If you skip this step, you will likely remain in that I should state, I should be. And what we call this in coaching is shoulding all over yourself. You're just going to keep repeating it. You're just going to be shitting all over yourself. And that's not fun. It can feel really frustrating. You start to think you're not capable of change, but the reality is the goal needs to be adjusted a little bit. You're capable of lots of things. We just got to make sure that we're on the right focus. So, two really quick examples of ready, willing, and able. So you can then take this and practice this on your own. So Jane says she's ready for change when it comes to her weekend eating and drinking habits. She recently learned from a reliable source that building, maintaining muscle and significantly reducing alcohol intake is beneficial during perimenopause. This goal is important to her because she wants to feel her best through all the decades. She is able and she is ready. So we can see her numbers here, right? She's decided her goal is going to go from 8 drinks on the weekend down to 0, but her willingness level is a 6. So what should Jane do next? So now we know that if it's a 7 or below, we have a red flag that we need to address. A coach is a really great person to bounce these things off of because there's lots of things that Jane could do. And there's many different paths. There's no one right answer. But as her coach, I would be asking her, what would make you more willing? What if you went from a goal of 0 drinks to 4 drinks? So you're just cutting it in half. And then we would reevaluate that and say, and maybe Jane would be like, I feel more confident with that. I'm more like an 8 now. I feel like if I have 2 each day, then I still feel social and I'm not giving everything up. So then she would proceed with action on that. Something similar here. Jack and Diane have 6-year-old twins that are off for the summer, and Jack is a primary caregiver while Diane travels extensively for work. Jack is ready to get jacked and willing to follow a training plan in the gym 5 days a week. His goals are important to him because he wants to keep up with his busy kids, but his concern is that he doesn't have anyone to watch the kids right now, or they're out of school. So it's hard because there's no childcare at the training facility. So what should Jack do? He's ready, he's willing, but he's not able. So again, bouncing off ideas with a coach or another person is really helpful here. Something Jack might have to do is look for childcare for 2 hours. Does it fit their budget? Is that something that they can do? Well, maybe that works for Jack. So Jack's now going to have childcare for an hour or 2 a day. He gets to go to the gym and take care of himself, and he's more able. So that's how you want to navigate your behaviors. So now we're going to talk about some of those behaviors. So the 5 that were highlighted, it was what we're going to go through. These are my top 5 picks. They may be things that work for you, but you may want to try things on the other list. Regardless, we're going to go through a few of these. So these are in no particular order, by the way. There's not like a hierarchy of which one's better. They're just some of the ones that work really well. Eating before you go. So usually when we arrive at a party, we are super hungry because it's time to eat. It's often a buffet or potluck style, which can really open us up to overeating. When we go into a situation very hungry, we have less control of our choices. We tend to make poor choices, or at least choices that might not be in line with the goal that we have. So eating before you go reduces your picking and your grazing, and it puts you back in control rather than your hunger being in control. It also gives you added assurance that you're meeting some of your nutrition goals. If you're in a weight loss phase or even a muscle building phase, protein is going to be something that's super important. So it gives you that assurance that you're going to get at least a serving before you go. So there's a couple ways you could do this. You could have what I call a mini meal with protein and fiber. A mini meal is the way I talk about snacks because I think that semantics matter when you talk about snacking. Typically, snacks we think of as something that comes in a bag or a box and it's ultra processed, like pretzels and chips. But if we think of our snack times as mini meals, smaller version of our bigger meals, then we're really intentional about our protein and our fiber. So basically have a mini meal, have something small, a little jerky, a piece of fruit, a protein bar, a banana, something to fill your stomach a little bit, high in protein, high in fiber, and off you go. You could do a protein shake, a scoop of powder in water, just again, a little something to hit your protein goal. It fills your stomach a little bit so you're not going in super ravenous. Or if you know where you're going is just going to be something that doesn't fit or align with your goals, you might just want to have a whole balanced plate, which is basically just having a meal before you go and then passing up on the buffet. So eating a balanced plate is actually the next one. And this can be helpful because if you have no idea where to start, this is a nice, easy way to approach portions. It's a way to make sure you have plenty of fiber, protein, healthy carbs, and fats. Doing this will help you stay satisfied. It will help regulate blood sugar, and it creates that habit of making sure high quality foods get on your plate, and it teaches you a little bit more about portions. And this is basically what it looks like. You're going to have this image in your mind, you're going to commit it to memory. And when you make your plate, whether it be at home before you go or when you actually get to the party, you're going to fill it half with your vegetables and some fruit, a quarter of your plate with some protein, lean protein sources, and then a quarter of your plate with some other carbohydrates and healthy fats. And you can do this in the moment at a party, or you can start using this as your behavior goal for all of your meals. I typically recommend starting with 3 main meals like this and then 1 mini meal. But if you're more athletic or you have different types of goals, you might need to adjust up or down from there. So this is not always set in stone, but it's a nice place to start. Number 3 is actually a mindset goal. And yes, mindset goals are also behavior goals, and we should use them as well. And I'm so glad I have a typo. It says a word that doesn't even exist, but we will fix that and we will resend it out to everybody. So the way this one works is that when you find yourself falling into an all or nothing mindset, this is when you feel like you can either commit to your goals or go out, but you don't feel like you can do both. You feel like you have to completely sacrifice everything you love, but you don't want to because you still have a priority of your goals. It's like, what do you do? And a lot of people fall into this. It comes up on consultation forums all the time. What is your biggest obstacle? And they'll say, all or nothing. I feel like I can either be on the plan or off the plan. I can either go out to dinner with my family or I can't. And then they don't know where to go from there. So we're going to use the scaling again. This is how you approach that all or nothing mindset. You're going to start to think of eating on a continuum or a scale. On one end, we're going to pretend that 1 is the worst food you could possibly ever imagine. A deep fried burger with a large Snickers and a milkshake and an extra large cheese fries and whatever else you want to throw on there, quote unquote, unhealthy. I don't want to say bad because I think individually all those things are delicious. But it's to prove the point that we have that end of the scale. Then on the other side, we have a freakishly healthy food option like chicken with spinach sprinkled with magic pixie dust. Again, not realistic, but it's here to prove a point of extremes. All right, it helps us to set the scale. When you are about to make a food choice, give it a number. Let's say a regular burger, large fries, and a large milkshake. I'm going to just give that a 2. Then I ask myself this question that you see at the bottom. How can I make this choice a little bit better? Well, there's a few ways I can do this. I can try to swap the large fry for a small fry. Well, now I moved it up the scale to a 3. I could choose to skip the cheese on the burger because the rest of the meal already has fat in it. Now I've just moved up to about a 4. And then I'm going to add in a side salad. So I'm now at like a 5 or a 6 because I'm thinking about high quality foods and I'm thinking about fiber and ways to fill myself up. And then maybe I'm going to pass on the milkshake today because I had birthday cake. And honestly, with the salad, I'm not even going to be hungry. So I've easily taken this to a 7 or 8 because now I'm thinking about like my level of fullness and hunger and how that affects me. And I've also made a swap there. So these numbers are very subjective and it's really just kind of a game that you play with it. But what this does is it shows you that you don't have to sacrifice everything. You can still have burgers and fries. And if you wanted to have a milkshake and make a different swap, whatever, that's fine. You don't always have to pick between things that you enjoy and things that you value. You can have all of these things. It's one of my favorites to work with. Number 4, stay hydrated. This week, especially here, is super hot. You're going to be sweating more, especially if you're active outside, if you're going for walks. Even small levels of dehydration can affect your cognition and your performance. A 1 to 2% change in hydration is all you need to have an effect on the way you think and the way you move. So for example, if someone was 200 pounds and they lost 2 pounds from sweating, you're already at a 1% loss. Hydration helps improve energy, cognition, and performance. So how much water am I supposed to drink? Well, there's no single standard amount for fluid intake. You're going to hear all kinds of things from different people. They're going to give you little numbers and ratios. Some people say drink a gallon. Some will say half your body weight in ounces. There is no one gold standard for that. It depends on your size, your climate, your elevation, your physical activity, and your sweat rate. Everyone's going to be different. So the best way to know if you're hydrated is to follow the color of your urine. So you see this beautiful scale here of the color of your urine. Get familiar with it, get comfortable with it. You want to be in the top 3 here. When I talk to young athletes about this, I'm like, just get comfortable with your body. You're going to be talking about puberty. You're going to go through a lot of weird things. Just get comfortable with the things that are going on. It's going to give you a lot of feedback and tell you a lot about what's going on. But I will say, if you are looking for just a very basic place to start, the recommendation for half your body weight in ounces is actually a nice baseline. And then you can adjust up or down from there based on the color of your urine. All right, true or false? You are actually thirsty when you feel hungry. Any takers? And then Eric, you'll let me know if anyone has takers, or you can let me know. I don't know if you have a thought on that.
I say true,
You say true,
but that's just me.
but that's just Eric. All right.
I'm just guessing.
Oh, I see someone else popping up. Any supporters?
Oh, I had another true. True. 2 more
All
truths.
right. All right.
We're starting to bandwagon.
Here we go. False.
Oh, unbelievable.
I know, right? All of our minds are blown. We've been told this forever, right? All right, so we're just going to make a small detour because I think this is kind of a fun one. Hunger and thirst have 2 completely different mechanisms of action in your body. When you're hungry, your body is observing your blood sugar levels. If you have low blood sugar, it's going to release a hormone in your stomach called ghrelin, and that's going to tell your brain that it's time to eat. That gives you the sensation of feeling hungry and growling in your stomach and stomach pains. Thirst, on the other hand, is regulated by the level of things like sodium in your blood, in your body. So if you have high level of solutes, your hormone that's going to be released is ADH, and that tells your body to store water in, tells your kidneys to store water. So that's water retention, and it's going to tell your brain to find fluids to drink, and you're going to feel that in your mouth. You're going to have a dry throat, a dry mouth. So it's different mechanisms, but here's where people get a little bit confused. Drinking fluids can temporarily mask hunger, but it's not because you are hungry. It's just temporarily masking it, because what happens is when we drink fluids, it goes into our stomach, it expands our stomach, and we have receptors in there that will say, oh, we're full. We have a fullness. There's stomach receptors there, but that's going to be very temporary, because once that water goes away, in like 20 minutes, you're going to feel hungry again because you haven't done anything to your blood sugar levels, unless that drink had carbohydrates in it. Then you might get away with it. But hunger and thirst, 2 different mechanisms. So now you know. All right,
I feel
number
lied to my whole
5.
life.
You've been lied to your whole
I
life.
feel
Yep.
lied to my whole life.
I mean, there is some value. So going to that point, maybe you haven't been completely lied to, but some people will recommend having a glass of water or something to drink before a meal, because it does temporarily mask hunger. So what that can help is it slows down the intensity of hunger, and then you can eat a little slower, and then be a little bit more in tune with how much you're eating. So it can be helpful, but they are not the same. No, they're not easily confused. The body's not confused. Let's put it that way. And then number 5 for the nutrition strategies is plan a weekly menu. So this is important because we already make a ton of decisions during the week. And when we're busy and the kids have things, or you have a full schedule with work, you don't always want to make another decision. Sometimes, like, I don't know, I just want to go pick something up. I don't want to think about it. When you have a plan, it increases your consistency because you know what you're doing. And also it reduces food waste. How many times do we go to the grocery store, buy stuff, and then it rots in a refrigerator because we bought it thinking we would make it, but we didn't really have a plan for it. We were just kind of hoping that we would do it, and then we don't. So we can reduce that as well. So this is the way you can do this. I call it the 2-3-4 framework. And what you're going to do is take about 5 or 10 minutes at some point during the week and write down a few meals that you know how to make. Meals that you like, they feel easy, you look forward to having them. You do want the criteria of having high protein, lots of vegetables, and some moderate amounts of carbs and fats. So think about that balanced plate that we talked about before, designing meals that kind of fall in that criteria. Then from that list, what you're going to do is pick 2 breakfasts, 3 lunches, and 4 dinners. From there, you're going to look at your schedule for the week and then plug in the meals based on when you have time to make them. For example, we have the most simple taco night here. We don't even chop anything up for our tacos because all my kids eat are the meat and the cheese, but it's taco night in our house. I can have that on the table as fast as it takes to brown taco meat. That's it. So we know that that's going to go on a busy night when the kids have a lot of activities, and maybe when we have the classic, like we can either eat at 4:30 or we can eat at 9:30 because we have sports in the time between. So it goes on that night. And then other nights we have a little bit more time, so we'll make a soup that we really enjoy, but it takes more prep, more cook time. So when you have a plan for the week, you have a roadmap for exactly where you're going to go. So, you know, Tuesday is going to be this, Wednesday is going to be this, Thursday is going to be this, maybe Friday we decide we're going to go out to eat, but then there's no guessing during the week and you have exactly what you're going to need to buy at the grocery store and you're not going to be wasting food anymore. So that's my favorite, the 2-3-4 framework. Give that a try. So at this point, we have talked about why most goals fail and how to avoid that pitfall. You're never going to make that mistake again, right? You're going to know that you have to pick a behavior goal for that outcome. And you know the difference between the two, outcome and behaviors. You also know how to test the strength of that behavior goal, being ready, willing, and able. Without those, remember, you'll be shooting all over yourself, so don't do it. So make sure that those are nice and strong and adjust the goal to be more ready, be more willing, be more able, and that's how you move into action. And now you also have 5 nutrition behaviors to practice, plus that list of more. And don't worry, you're going to get this presentation, so you can always refer back to it as well. So you also get some party favors, because what's a summer party without some party favors? You are going to get a 2-week menu. If you have your phone and want to get it right now, you can use the QR code using your phone camera. It'll take you right to this, but I am going to send it in an email to everyone as well. This is not set up necessarily for weight loss, but if you follow it, you might find some weight loss, but it's going to be high protein, high fiber, high quality foods to inspire you on some things that you can have during the week. And then you're also going to be getting a summer recipe pack. This has 15 recipes and beautiful photos that go with it. Obviously how to make them, but it also has the nutrition breakdown, the macronutrients. And if you use MyFitnessPal, you can actually scan it and it'll go right into your MyFitnessPal for you. So that's going to come via email as well. So you'll have all of those things. Now, I did a lot of talking, obviously. So I would like to entertain any questions that you might have. And also that QR code is back up if you're interested in scheduling a time to talk to me about coaching and you're interested, you can scan that or go to the website. So Eric, let me know if any questions come in.
Yeah, absolutely. And same, thank you very much. I have a ton of notes actually I took too, so that's fantastic. And same, so everybody else,
Oh,
if
I
you have
love
any
that.
questions, yeah, I have like 2 notepads, or 2 pages. But yeah, so any questions, please feel free to throw in the chat box. I'll read them out. And we'll get going from there.
Let me turn my video back on. There we go.
One of
I
the
can
biggest
also
things. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I can put my email address in there too, because sometimes I know people don't want to ask a question that might be more personal in the chat. But let me see. I'll be emailing everything from. Oh, there it is. Okay. Look, I'm again technology. I'm making it work. Here we go. If anyone wants to send it directly. All right.
And I love
Oh,
what you
James
said.
wrote no. James wants somebody. I can see the chat now. Yep, James, you're wrong.
I love what you said about planning the weekly menu. I think that comes in
Mhm.
handy for us at my household. I mean, literally every Sunday we go back over it. We do some meal prep for the lunches, but also too, we're talking about dinners, like you said too. Okay, I know I'm gonna be home late on Thursdays. She's gonna be home medium to late, so let's make these easier meals because those are the days too where you're tired, and I'm like, nah, let's just get Chipotle, or let's just make something easy, and that's maybe not the healthiest choice. Where if we would have maybe taken that into a better account, we can have an easy, quick meal that's already ready to go.
Yes, and you know what's coming, so you don't have to think about it. I have to give my dad some of this credit, like from back in the day, and my mom. We had a handwritten calendar, and it was underneath the silverware in the silverware drawer, and they had it every week what we were having, and like we'd run home from school and like lift open the silverware drawer and like, oh, we're having ham and macaroni and cheese, like so it's always kind of been a thing, but getting more intentional about it, the 2 3 4 to keep it simple as well, to repeat some meals so you don't have to always be making. You can eat leftovers too, which is a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Ah,
Um,
so Anne, I know Anne, he was just telling, she just said my dad was just telling her about that.
oh, nice. One question I did have too, what do you think, like as we're talking about planning and structure of the week, what do you think about being offsite? So being on vacation or taking a long weekend or something like that. How do you keep those goals going when you're offsite? You don't have as much control, let's say, over your food.
Yeah, for sure. So I always love that question. Well, one is some of these behaviors you might find you can transfer over, right? Like that balanced plate, right? Like you can kind of take that wherever the best you can. Sometimes the food that's served is like very out of your control because you don't, your host is making whatever. So you want to look for things that would be in your control. So let's say you're in a situation where you're not making the food at all. You still want to look for the things you can control, which is your eating speed. You want to take your time eating, take about 15-20 minutes for your meal. So your brain is allowed to have time to catch up to your stomach because there's actually a time difference. Your stomach will not send that signal for a good 15 minutes that you're full, so you could overeat. So if you're slowing down, that's in your control. Your portions, that is also in your control. Some people don't want to admit it, but it is. Do we need seconds? Do we need thirds? Do we need to have all the bread that was served on the table, or can we have a smaller portion or say no to that at the time? Reducing your alcohol intake and added sugar. So emphasis on added sugar. So I'm talking about like the pastries, the desserts, I'm not talking about fruit, right? So I'm talking about the added sugar type things. We have control over that. We have control over moving our body every day. So it's not specifically nutrition, but it matters in the whole picture, right? Going for a walk, finding some way to move our body. Maybe it's not the same gym workout because you're away, but some way to move your body. And then also getting to bed on time because sleep is so important. Now, if you have a little bit more freedom, say you're staying at an Airbnb, you want to scope out the grocery stores nearby, create a small list. You can use the 2 3 4 to go on vacation and get an idea of what you might have that week. Just a couple ideas to have on hand and in rotation. If you're traveling by plane, think of like not going to the airport hungry, or looking for that mini meal idea, right? Protein plus fiber. What can I get protein plus fiber just to hold me over on the plane? So that's actually quite a few recommendations, but always looking for the things that are in your control. You do actually have more control than you realize when you look for it. It's there.
I think that's a fantastic point that you just stated, is that the control part is it might take a little bit of planning, right? An extra step on your side to say, oh, like you said, the Airbnb, okay, what's around there? What can I make this work in my favor? How can I make this work in my favor? Or just taking that extra little step to do a little bit of research or a little bit of work to make sure you're staying on your goals.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And then last question too, real quick before we go, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but what do you think about maybe some plans or ideas from like a social standpoint? Like let's say you go to a work dinner, you might, you're with friends, or let's say you're at a party, you don't want to be the person that's making healthy decisions. You don't want to be put out by your keeping to your goals. So how do you handle those social kind of pressures?
Yeah. This, like most skills, these are all skills, by the way. I'm saying behaviors, but they are skills. You have to practice them. Sometimes they don't go as well as you had planned, but then you get up and you try again. just like learning to play a piano, riding a bike, whatever it is, you have to practice these things. And when you're in a social situation, it can feel a little uncomfortable at first. Like you feel like everyone's either judging me or thinking about what I'm eating or what I'm not eating. And I feel this pressure because they're my friends and I don't want to offend anyone. But when it comes down to it, at the end, your goals are going to be more important to you than anybody else. Even your best friend on the planet doesn't care about your goals as much as you do. And when you wake up in the morning, you are the one that feels a certain way about your choices. So what I suggest in those situations is to look forward to what the next day is going to feel like and say, will I be happy with my choice when I wake up tomorrow and none of these people are around and they're doing their own thing because they don't care about my goal? How am I going to feel about this choice that I'm about to make? And that takes practice and it takes confidence. And sometimes you need to find some language to get through that moment when someone's like, oh, just come on, do whatever it is, have the cake, have the alcohol, it's a fun, work it off tomorrow. You can practice things and say, oh, you can make it up. Be like, I had too much to drink yesterday. I'm a little hungover. Boom. They're not going to probably bother you again. They'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Or, you know what? I'm really tired today. I'm just not I'm feeling a little under the weather. Make it up if you have to just get through that moment. But just know that you're making the best choice for yourself. And that when you wake up the next day, you're going to be like, freaking did it. And I'm going to do it again.
Nice. We did have one question come in real quick too. What do you think are some easy summer mini meals, like snacks kind of things that provide a lot of protein and fiber?
So I'm hitting all kinds of things. Okay. I am a big fan of having Greek yogurt on hand because you can mix that with any type of berry or fruit. This is a great time for fruit. It's just, it's kind of hits like a sweet tooth and a crunchy thing at the same time, especially if you use like chopped gala apples, little walnuts on there, you're great. You're good to go. I always think having a protein powder on hand is very helpful. It may not be your most flavorful food. It is a protein powder, but it's very handy when you're on the go. Like you can just have it in the car, and take that with you. Other mini meals, there's a dish that you could make. Now, this is for my vegetarian vegan friends, but, or well, anyone really, but really speaks to them about protein because that can be hard. You can actually make a caprese salad with tofu. You slice the tofu nice and thin, you put it on your tomatoes, fresh basil from the garden, and drizzle it with some balsamic vinaigrette, a little salt and pepper. You got protein from the tofu and you have a vegetable right there to go. But I would say like any fruit plus vegetable, that's your fiber, and then some of those protein sources, you're pretty good.
Awesome. But no, this has been fantastic. Again, like I said, I have a ton of notes that I'm going to take with me. I hope everyone else does as well. And again, I do this all the time. Natalie and I talked about this beforehand. I always think about questions I should have asked. So if you guys think of something later on tonight or something that you just want to ask that's a little bit more personal, feel free to reach out to Natalie. She had her email up there. And you know, she's going to be great with all those questions. So again, if no other questions, maybe we'll wrap it up.
All righty.
And fantastic. Cool. Thank you guys very much. Again, I appreciate you guys coming out and the willingness to get better and to learn. And I appreciate Natalie spending her time with us.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Perfect. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you very much. Again, I made it up, but like I really have 2 pages of notes that I'm excited to try out. That was
That's
fantastic.
awesome.